Hi, everyone, and welcome back. This is our final session of our very first Supporting Institutional Effectiveness free webinar series. As I mentioned at the very beginning, we hope that this is the first of many that we'll be doing to better connect you with instructors across the country who are facing some of the similar challenges that you face and sharing some innovative ideas. And hopefully we'll have the opportunity to present more of our suite of services and products and platforms as we expand out our offerings. So for our final session, we saved the best till last. The Learning Science Platform is a new initiative that we're driving forward in order to help scale our adaptive capabilities to course areas and broaden out the content that can be delivered through them. We're very fortunate to have Tom Hinkley on our team to help drive this initiative. Tom is a solutions architect on our group, and he joined McGraw-Hill in 2016 after 5 years of partnering with us on various projects. So during that time, he witnessed an investment in and a shared vision for making a tangible impact on student learning. His roles focused on working with university leadership to design learning solutions that work at an enterprise level. So that includes curriculum design, process management, LMS integration, data integration, and other elements to ensure a seamless experience for students while they learn. Prior to joining McGraw-Hill, he served as a manager of innovative learning and strategic relationships at a large university with 90,000 online students and 15,000 residential students. So he's seen firsthand many of the challenges that you face. His academic background includes a bachelor's in business management, a bachelor's in psychology, an MBA in business management, and currently as a doctorate in education and educational leadership, pending completion of his dissertation. So we're very fortunate to have Tom on the team. I'm very excited for him to share with you the experiences on his experiences with the Learning Platform. And so without further ado, Tom Hinkley.
Thanks, Alex. Definitely glad to be with everyone today. I don't know about saving the best for last, but I remember those 4 p.m. webinars because I've been on many of them myself, and so I hope you all stick around. I told Alex as we were kind of prepping for the session, I promise I probably will not keep you the entire time, so if you can bear with me and maybe have a little bit more coffee or something like that, that'd be great. So again, very glad to be here, very glad to be representing McGraw-Hill as we talk about the Learning Science Platform, and yeah, I'm very, very excited to be with you. As I was mentioning before, I have sat in a lot of 4 p.m. Webinars, and again, I understand probably that the energy level is running low. You've heard already a bunch of good content, and I don't know about you, but the content is important, but I was always interested in exactly, who exactly... sorry about that, and who exactly was presenting to me. So to help you out with just a little bit more about who I am and why I'm here, I know Alex gave some credentials and things along those lines, but kind of in 3 short statements of just who I am and why I care about what we're doing here is that regardless of where you look in our society today, there's a lot of brokenness. So whether that is watching debates, whether that is things that you see on the street corner and things along those lines, there's a lot of brokenness here. And I believe that education can enact change, kind of the teach the man to fish principle rather than giving him a fish. So I believe a lot of what we're going to cover today with the Learning Science Platform gives us the ability to help teach a man to fish. 2, I think tools often get in the way too often. We'll throw a lot of good tools into our courses. I'm an adjunct faculty member as well, so I can understand how students get overloaded with a certain number of tools. So part of what we're going to cover today is hopefully slimming down the number of tools that you use to something that's really effective and honestly gets the technology out of the way and focuses on the learning. And then last, I think it's important to meet a student where they're at. I actually was teaching a class this past summer to where I was working with some prospective college football players in the town that I live in, and they were trying to get some classes out of the way early. And obviously, as we all know, you teach differently to different groups. So I think that a lot of what we'll cover today with our Learning Science Platform really gives us the ability to meet the student where they're at. So again, just a little bit more about me, because I want you to understand the why behind a lot of what I'm saying today. So without further ado, I do want to give a little bit of an overview of McGraw-Hill's SmartBook platform. Some of you may be very familiar with this, and you're going to see a lot of similarities to our learning science platform of what we talk through. So the slide that I have up on the screen here, if you don't take anything else away from our presentation, I would hope that this image would really resonate with you. And chances are you may have a few questions about those. Just a reminder, feel free to put those in the group chat or in the Q&A box. Alex will be monitoring those, and we'll come back and answer those questions here at the end of the presentation. So I want you to I'm going to tell a little bit of a story. If you can imagine back 15 years ago, when maybe many of us got into education, of exactly how we learned, or what the structure was in the classroom. Many of us would buy a textbook, and we would assume that our students would read that textbook. We would say read chapters 3 through 5 and come back ready to discuss. We had no idea whether the student was actually going home and reading that textbook or reading that material. And then we would come back in, we give them an assessment, and that was learning. It was reading and assessing. Fast forward a little bit, we started to have things like a CD that was in the back of a book, or maybe we put in an access code and they have access to some online resources. But where I want to take us is kind of into this fourth area here, where we're really moving beyond the textbook, because it's not about a textbook itself. It's about a bunch of different learning objectives or learning statements and concepts that you're trying to get across to your students. So obviously we need to present the content to our students, but what if we were able to take that content and see who actually grasped a certain concept on a given page? So if you had, let's say you're teaching an online class in a section of 25 students, and you could go through and you could identify these 5 students didn't quite get this concept, or half the class completely missed this concept, so I need to spend some more time on this. Or everyone's got this concept, we don't need to cover that again in class. How much more powerful would our teaching be? So this is really the power of where we start to head with a SmartBook. So the idea in the image that I have on the screen to you here is our SmartBook technology. It's an adaptive technology, and we'll get into this here. But as you're going through, it will adapt and meet that student where they're at for exactly the content that they haven't quite yet grasped, or material that is fresh to them that they just need to learn. Or if a student comes in and says, hey, I've only got 10 minutes to study today, what are the key concepts? It can adjust to them. The cool part about this is that on the back end, we're capturing a huge amount of data to where we're able to see, is the student actually grasping this content? Are they grasping a learning object? How are they progressing through the content itself? And we do that through some incredibly powerful tagging on the back end. So the slide that we were just on, to where we were able to show 20% of students have grasped this concept and 20% of students haven't. It's because as we've gone through, it's no longer just words on a page. We're actually going through and tagging and saying, hey, this bit of content aligns to this level of blooms, or this bit of content aligns to this specific learning objective. And we're proactively prompting the student as they're going through with different prompts, or things that we would call probes. Okay, so again, kind of a high-level overview of our SmartBook, and I'll get into a little bit more of the adaptive technologies. But where I want to head with the learning science platform is, I want you to envision this. Everything that I just told you, that we put a ton of resources behind with some of our national content, our national science, engineering, mathematics, history, social sciences, languages books. What if you were able to do that with some of your own content? Maybe you're a faith-based school and you have a specific view on content that you want to get out there. Maybe you're a highly specialized school that you teach a bit of content that no one else in the world teaches. Or maybe you just have a very specific teaching methodology to where you want to make sure your content is portrayed in a specific fashion. What if we were able to take your content or any OER content and wrap it in that same powerful technology? That is what the learning science platform is. If I was in an elevator with each of you and I had 15 seconds to say, hey, what is the learning science platform? This is what I would say. It's bringing your own content or OER content into a proven and measurable adaptive learning environment. I want to touch on OER real quick because earlier when I was saying, who am I and why am I doing what I'm doing? What's the why behind what I'm doing? I said that sometimes tools get in the way. And any of you who have probably used OER content, there's some fantastic content out there, whether it's Merlot, Khan Academy, I can keep going down the list of amazing content that's out there. But the amazing content, each of those has a completely different interface. And then at that point, you have a student who's trying to learn 10, 15, 20 different interfaces. And at that point, the learning has taken a backseat to actually figuring out how that technology platform works. Some of you have probably had experience times to where the OER content, you've had a link out to something and then all of a sudden that hosting goes down or the link changes. Now, what do you do to actually fill that bit of content? This is another problem that we're trying to solve with the Learning Science platform, and that you can bring in all those OER pieces into this powerful adaptive SmartBook platform. And without a shadow of a doubt, it's always going to be there. It's not going to change. You're not going to get a call at 11:30 at night from a student saying, hey, I can't find that YouTube video anymore. I can't find this, that, or whatever. So again, another really powerful piece of the Learning Science platform. So let's continue to move forward a little bit. The term adaptive learning gets thrown around quite a bit in today's society. So I kind of want to break that down a little bit, and then we'll camp out here on a future slide to really what the power behind our Learning Science platform is. What you see on the slide here is our idea of student learning progression. So let's say you have a 10-week course that you're going through. It resembles somewhat of a stair-step type of concept. So the concepts that you present in week 1 are then necessary for information that's going to be covered in week 2, and so on and so forth. So it's the stair-step type of pattern. An example